What's good, beautiful people? It's your girl Tay, and I'm here yet again with another update video. So definitely make sure you guys smash that like button, comment down below, subscribe, plus push your post notification bell button so that way anytime I upload a video, you will be notified. So jumping right into it, we're gonna jump into this whole mess of to pay the full SNAP benefit amount or not. Basically, the Supreme Court has says we're gonna put a halt on them having to pay the full benefit amount. That doesn't have anything to do with the 4.65 billion that was already allocated. Okay, the problem is, we'll get to that in a second. The Supreme Court's position is because we're technically still in an appeal. Remember, the judge said you have to pay, but then they appealed that decision. We were still in the appeal, but they were still judged to go ahead and comply with the order. So President Trump and his administration went to the Supreme Court, which is the highest that they can go, to say, can you put a pause on us having to pay the full amount? And the Supreme Court says yes. So what they're calling it is a stay. It is a temporary pause right now by the Supreme Court because we're still waiting on the U.S. Court of Appeals to make a decision. The Supreme Court's position is we don't feel as if the U.S. Court of Appeals has had enough time to go through all of the information and the facts that has been provided to them so that they can make a more informed decision. So it doesn't mean that they're not going to pay the full benefit amount. We don't know at this point. They're just saying, hey, I don't think that they had enough time. And since they need this time, 48 hours to be exact, to go through all of the information before making a decision, I am going to put a pause on them having to pay the full amount. Now, keep in mind that the 4.65 billion that they had already agreed upon, including the Trump and his administration, had already been allocated to the states. The problem is that we have some states that have paid full benefit amounts, we have some states that have paid partial benefit amounts, and we have some states that haven't paid anything. So I know that California, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, I believe Michigan, but I'm not too sure about that, has paid full benefit amount. The other issue with that is we don't know what the long-term or short-term implications of them paying money to the beneficiaries while not receiving it from the government. We don't know if they're going to reimburse that. Right now, everything is just on pause, and that's as much information as I can give you. So I don't want anybody to get down. As I've been saying in all of these videos, is that I don't want to set you guys up with unrealistic expectations, and I've been saying that things could change from one moment to the next. We just don't know. Right now, as of November the 8th on Saturday, the Senate is still in session trying to come up with a plan to reopen the government, while the U.S. Court of Appeals is trying to go over all of the information that has been presented by Trump's administration and their lawyers, as well as the states that were suing in the first place, to find a resolve and decide whether or not they can pay the full SNAP benefit amount. Okay, so I will say that some states have already gone ahead and said we're going to add from our own emergency resources to provide full benefit amount for our constituents. And like I said, some states are just in limbo. They haven't received anything. And right now there's just no way of knowing which way the ball is going to drop. But let me give you guys a little bit of context from the actual article as it's being reported. It says, the stay will last for 48 hours after the U.S. Court of Appeals for the First Circuit resolves the administration's request for a longer-term block as its appeal moves through the court. Jackson, which is the judge from the Supreme Court, states and noted that her expectation for the First Circuit Court to act with dispatch, when I'm going to assume that she's saying, hurry up. Do what you need to do. Look at the information, be thorough, make an informed decision, but we ain't got all day. Okay, in the meantime, the fate of the 42 million Americans who receive benefits from the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, also known as SNAP, program hangs in the balance. The Supreme Court, and this is a quote, the Supreme Court just granted our administrative stay in this case. Our attorneys will not stop fighting day and night to defend and advance President Trump's agenda. This is coming from Attorney General Pam Bondi. Oh, I got a lot to say about that heifer, but we're going to get into that in a different video. The Trump administration has argued it can't fund the program for November because of the government shutdown. Shutdown, which is nearing its 6th week. After being ordered to act by a district judge, the administration asked the First Circuit Court of Appeals to block that order. The appeals court declined to immediately block the ruling while it considers the appeal. So that was what was happening. We were still in an appeal, but they said, hey, we're not going to block the order for them to pay these benefits. You're going to pay it, but we're still going to deal with the appeal. The only thing that the Supreme Court did was jump in and say, well, hold on, we're not going to pay all of these benefits. We need to know. We need for them to go through this information and make sure that they're making a more informed decision. So I just want to keep reiterating that. But the appeals court declined to immediately block the ruling while it considers the appeal, prompting the administration to ask the Supreme Court to block it. Okay, as explained, this is in quote, the government will be forced to make an irretrievable transfer of billions of dollars by the end of the day, absent this court's intervention, wrote U.S. Solicitor General John Sawyer to the Supreme Court. And the harms of that decision will vest this evening. Regardless of what this court ultimately does with respect to the flawed decisions below, an administrative stay is badly needed. Okay. And of course, I will be linking that article down below so that you guys can have access to that, as reported by MS. Let me say it right. Hold on. MSNBC. Okay, now moving on to what they're actually discussing when it comes to reopening this government. So again, I'm going to give you guys my simple terms and what's going on based off of what I have seen and what I have read and what I have heard. And when I tell you guys, I've had my feet in my ear to the streets listening. I've been in lives. I've been sitting and watching the Senate while they're working through the weekend. As I told you guys yesterday, that they were not allowed to go home. They have to work through the weekend. I wish that they would bring the House of Representatives back, but it doesn't seem like that's going to happen anytime soon. But we have the Senate still working through the weekend to see if they can come up with a deal. Okay. So in simple terms, basically what this is all over, like I said, is the ACA, is the tax credits for the Obamacare. So the Democrats want them to extend that indefinitely, meaning we don't want to talk about this again. We don't want this to be terminated, maybe somewhere down the line. But right now, we're not in a good place for people to be able to afford these high costs for healthcare insurance. Republicans are like, no, we just want to 86 this program. We want to get rid of it. We don't want to talk about it. We don't want to vote on it. We don't want to discuss it. Come to us with something else. Maybe we can go back and forth and compromise about something else. But that is a non-starter. We don't want to discuss that. So then the Democrats said, okay, well then let's compromise. How about you extend those tax credits for affordable health care for 1 year? They're basically trying to ensure that Americans are just not caught off guard with being able to pay ridiculously high insurance premium prices come 2026. But if they just go along and say, okay, well, we'll just go along with it and we'll let you open up the government, I'm pretty sure that they know, and I know, and I'm sure that you guys know, that the Republicans will more than likely not have that conversation at that point, because at that point they'll feel like they've already won. We've already got the votes that we needed, so why would we need to negotiate it? So the Democrats are digging their heels in. They're saying, hey, let's compromise. So this was the latest thing that they voted on as of yesterday, Friday the 7th, which was, hey, let's extend it. If you don't want to do it permanently, then let's extend it for 1 year. 1 year. Then for that year, once the government is open, then we can have a conversation about terminating it altogether, or, extending it for another period of time, whatever the case may be. But let's just give Americans 1 more year so that we can fully prepare them if this program is to cease to exist. And of course, the Republicans are like, nope, that's a non-starter. Come to us again. So it doesn't really seem like, in my opinion, as much as they want to blame it on the Democrats and say it's their fault, I think that going from let's just keep this program around forever to hold on now, let's maybe do 1 year, and then after that we'll discuss it. I think that's one heck of a compromise. The Republicans are not seeing it as such. But let's get into this article. All right, so as reported by CBS News, and again, I will be linking both of these articles down below in my description box so that you guys can have access to that for yourselves. But it says Senate Democrats offered on Friday, which was yesterday, to end the government shutdown in exchange for 1 year extension of the healthcare tax credits and a plan to continue broader talks, a proposal that will swiftly that was swiftly rejected by the Republicans, who grew increasingly frustrated with their colleagues over the course of the day. Minority Leader Chuck Schumer laid out the Democratic proposal on the Senate floor in the afternoon. Okay, he said Democrats would back a bill to quickly reopen the government if it included the 1-year extension of the tax credit to bring down the cost of health insurance premiums. GOP senators rejected the offer out of hand. Majority Leader John Thune, who's another idiot in my opinion, told CBS News it was a non-starter that doesn't even get close. Senator Lindsey Graham of the South Carolina called it terrible and political. I can't say the word. It says the path forward in the Senate remains unclear. The chamber blocked a GOP bill that would pay federal workers during the funding lapse on Friday. Democrats blocked quick consideration of the measure earlier in the day, contributing to the tensions between the two sides. Thune said the Senate is likely to work through the weekend, but he has not scheduled a 15th vote on the House passed continuing resolution. That vote is seen as the key to unlocking a deal put forward by Republicans that would tie an extension of government funding to a trio of longer-term appropriation bills. Separately, the Supreme Court stepped in late Friday, and of course, we just went over this, temporarily froze a court order requiring the Trump administration to provide full food benefits for the month of November rather than the partial payments that the administration plans on sending. Okay. It says on Truth Social, our president took to Truth Social and made a post this morning that said that he was recommending Senate Republicans to end the Affordable Care Act, also known as Obamacare. He said the money used to fund the program should be sent directly to the members of the American public instead of money-sucking insurance companies in order to save the bad health care provided by Obamacare. In other words, take it from the big bad insurance companies, give it to the people, he wrote. Mr. Trump criticized the ACA as the worst health care anywhere in the world. He added the Congress must terminate the filibuster. So he's still going for telling his party, hey, they don't want to listen, they don't want to jump on board, take away their ability to have a say in this. Okay, right now as it stands, they need 60 votes in the Senate in order to get through and have that vote then taken to the House of Representatives, hopefully to get passed there, to be taken up to the president, to have him agree and then sign. It doesn't seem like that's happening anytime soon, but as always, you guys, I hope that they can come to some type of resolve. I know that this is strenuous for everybody. I mean, at this point, it's affecting so much and so many people. While I understand wanting affordable health care on one side, I think that both sides, unfortunately, are having to use the American people as pawns in the midst of this to get what they want out of this deal. I hope that they come to some resolve sooner rather than later. But as always, I hope this information was in some way helpful or useful to you guys in the least little bit. Do me a favor if you haven't already. Don't forget to smash that like button and really run those lights up, because it really does help to let YouTube know that you like what I'm doing and you want me to stick around. And in light of my gym fit for today, we're going to go ahead and drop some pink hearts down below in the comment section. And always drop your comments and your thoughts on any and everything that I say in these videos. You know I love to talk back. And as always, I am going to say, remember to live, love, elevate, and I will definitely see you guys in the next video. Bye, y'all.